In all the universe, there are fewer things that are affront to the God Emperor than the Xeno, and fewer things still embody this sacrilege than the insectoid-like Tyranid, dedicated solely to survival and the propagation of the hive mind. The continued existence of this galactic scourge, known as the Tyranid Hive Fleet, can mean nothing else but total extinction for all known life.
Commander, here is the most current information on the recently discovered Tyranid infestation. These were taken by a patrol of scouts on the nearby planet. They believe it demands our immediate attention. They have found this swarm is being led on multiple fronts. At the centralmost and bloodiest part of the incursion, scouts have found evidence that the hive is being commanded by a swarm lord. With its rapid regeneration, the beast will most certainly come back stronger than ever if not dealt with immediately. And be warned, as its minions are cut down, it will grow more cunning and learn of ways to stop our advances. Amongst the swarm's ranks, scouts have encountered a number of broodlords amidst the insectoid masses. A powerful entity on its own, its more insidious role is to aid in the growth of the lesser xenos surrounding it. A similarly ravenous beast noted was the exocrine. Be forewarned, as the larger the size of these creatures, the more devastating their bioplasmic bursts can be. While predominantly a ground-based attack, scouts have noted flocks of gargoyle-like Tyranids surveying the battlefield and swooping in when needed. It was noted that additional flocks were seen as the swarm migrated inward. The Genestealer Patriarch, while not seen during the initial survey, is almost certainly amongst them. Its powerful and morbidly nicknamed kiss can infect even the hardiest of beings, and rumors from surrounding cities have said that those who are infected by a Patriarch's kiss will soon find themselves joining amongst the Tyranid ranks. The Haruspex is a vicious evolution of the Tyranid swarm, capable of consuming enormous quantities of biomass to convert and power the swarm. It has been seen devouring fallen Tyranid and foes alike, to sate its never-ending hunger and continue the conversion process. It would be near impossible to miss the Hierophant Biotitan, as it towers over even the largest swarm lord, nearly impossible to stop with infantry, and difficult to target with our orbital weaponry. This massive Tyranid is capable of using the strength from others of its swarm to assist in the conversion and creation of other Tyranid monstrosities. The most dangerous element of the Hormigaunt horde is not their size or viciousness, but rather their ability to persevere and propagate. Even when a swarm is seemingly wiped out entirely, Hormigaunt hordes have been known to pop up from seemingly nowhere and continue their attacks. Few creatures in the Hive Fleet have a reputation that precedes them, quite like the Lictor bioform. One of the many scout strains of the Tyranid army, the Lictor can appear out of nowhere, and often marks the beginning of an invasion, as it leads some of the deadliest Tyranid warriors through our defenses. For decades, the Malanthrope, known as Tyrannicus cadavi terribilis, was largely considered a myth. The recent discovery and study of a cadaver has discovered vital information on their role as scavengers and to assist in the evolution of the swarm on the battlefield. The worm-like Moloch is a massive burrowing creature, able to travel deep underground to bypass defenses. Bursting forth from beneath, these brutal monsters can tear through even the most reinforced Rhino personnel carriers. Old One-Eye, a name scouts have coined to help identify this particular beast, has also been seen at the front lines. An enormous Carnifex, it has never been spotted alone, often accompanied by several massive Tyranids. Once thought destroyed at the Battle of Kulf, it has since shown incredible healing properties, and even the most grievous of wounds have not prevented it from showing up at several other incursions since the battle. Naturally, the vanguards of the Tyranid hive, the Genestealers, have also appeared at these incursion points. Powerful and resilient, these Xenos help discover new territories to fuel the swarm's need for biomass. The Ravener strain of Tyranid warriors are an assault-based breed. Known for ambushing its foes, it should be noted that many scouts and Imperial Guard have been lost after pursuing these beasts into their tunnels after seeing one of their own being skewered. The Screamer Killer is a large and fearsome Tyranid, similar to the Carnifex, but with a dangerous long-ranged bioplasmic scream. These bursts of violent vocality have known to rend even the toughest armor plating, and no one is safe. The Spore Cyst is an odd defensive addition to an otherwise vicious and aggressive xenospecies, but be warned. Their presence on the battlefield should not be overlooked, as their primary purpose is to facilitate planetary consumption and conversion. When threatened, they will release deadly spore mines that can detonate with incredible force. In military terms, the termagant swarm serves primarily as the main form of infantry for Tyranid swarms. Small but numerous, it is often discovered that they only precede the more powerful termites in the assault. The bloated tervagon is an enormous spined beast whose size should always be noted. Serving as a living incubator and spawning bed for the termagant swarms, it is tantamount that these creatures be destroyed, lest the planet becomes overwhelmed. Commander, I have also suggested to the scout units that they refer to the files housed on Mars under the jurisdiction of the Adaptus Mechanis on the First Tyranid War. I felt it necessary for them to learn how the Imperial men first handled these swarms, and how these beasts seemingly appeared from nowhere, and then became more powerful over time. The Red Terror is a known entity from the High Fleet Kraken. A deadly ravener, this beast seemingly grows stronger as the battle goes on. The deadly fumes emitted by the tentacled toxicrine means death to all those who are not outfitted with power armor. Few have survived an encounter with one, but recent scans have indicated that the fumes serve an insidious secondary purpose: the conversion of planetary biomass to assist in the evolution and creation of new Tyranid warriors. A Trigon is a serpent-like creature, similar in scale to the Ravener. The prime variants, noted by their elongated jaws and spines, are often able to empower other Tyranids, and itself grows stronger with each of its subterranean attacks. Is another example of a potential airborne threat. Known to many in the Astra Militarum simply as Brooding Mother, these great beasts are capable of spawning Tyranid gargoyles as part of their attacks. The Tyranid invasion of Phobia should serve as an example to those doubting the power of the Tyranid swarms. Where once stood a powerful city of the Imperium, the Tyranids butchered the populace until all that was left were rivers of biomass and flesh to be consumed by the looming High Fleet above. As noted with the Trigons, there are often prime variants of the Tyranid horde. These beasts can assist with the evolution of its Xeno horde by accelerating the evolution of the lesser beasts. The more defensive-looking Tyrant Guard can often be found near the commanders of the swarm, and in this case, the Swarm Lord. These large beasts serve as a last line of defense, often sacrificing itself to ensure the survival of the Swarm Lord and its swarm. The toxic tentacles of the Xenos known as Venanthropes have claimed the lives of too many to count. Functioning primarily as a dispensary for the most potent toxins found in the Tyranid High Fleet, these beasts should be eliminated on sight. Tyrannicus Praefactor, also known as the Hive Tyrant, is one of the primary commanders found in the swarm. With potent psychic powers and skills, these Tyranids can imbue their swarm with a portion of their power. Some have even claimed to have seen them evolve to grant itself and similarly evolved beasts to have the power of flight. Perhaps the most alien and bizarre of an already alien race, the Zoanthropes are powerful psychers in their own right. They are thought to have been engineered from the genes of fallen Eldar. Their psychic powers range from protecting themselves to being able to generate powerful and deadly warp blasts. Although unseen, we have reason to believe that Death Leaper, a powerful Tyranid weapon, has been spearheading this invasion. This vile lictor from the High Fleet Leviathan is as comfortable breaking the will of its opponents as it is their bones and bodies. When dealing with Death Leaper, troopers should be aware of its bone sabers, as they are both sharp and charged with dangerous Xeno energy, making them formidable opponents and further growing their attacks. Further infestation can be found amongst the human settlements on the planet, led by Magus Lucia Kane, a powerful human psyker who has been corrupted by the hive mind. She wields powerful psychic abilities that allow her to bolster her converts, as well as duplicate her powers in battle. She's a powerful figurehead for the Genestealer cults. Genestealer cults are secretive, stealthy, and a blight upon mankind, corrupting the very core of the Imperium, pair a rogue psyker with xenoanatomies, weakening their enemies mentally and physically. The Acolyte hybrid is the perfect example of this corruption at work. Welding the knowledge of man to the corrupted genes of the Tyranids, the entity it becomes retains many of its past skills while becoming wholly subservient to the Tyranid hive mind. Unlike the Acolyte, the Aberrant is a Genestealer hybrid mutated solely for physical power. What it lacks in intelligence, it more than makes up for in brute strength, superhuman endurance, and an unquestionable need to protect other members of the cult. Polarizing from the Aberrant, the Biophages are the brains of the Genestealer cults. Masters of genetic and alchemy, they are the driving force between the indoctrination and infection of the cult. While typically reclusive, they will leave their lairs under the command of the Broodmind. The Clamovis are the main source of propaganda spread by the Genestealer cult on inhabited worlds. They too possess powerful psychic powers, but also utilize technology to spread their religious messages to the populace. Unlike Magus Cain, the Clamovis' powers are less precise, instead using their power to transmit what is known as the Shadow in the Warp. This phenomenon, the Shadow in the Warp, is a noted psychic presence in the Warp associated with the Tyranid hive mind. It can vary in power, some cases disrupting local psychic communication fields to create a complete blanket cover over other planets, smothering them in psychic static. This presence has a heavily detrimental effect on space travel, hindering astropaths and navigators. Another specialized Genestealer hybrid is the Nexos. Acting as the military strategy and planning presence for the cult, they're able to absorb the memories of any being it touches that carries the Genestealer infection. The Nexos is also able to house all of those memories to aid them in overthrowing the governments of the planets they have infested. Rebel elements of humanity have also been seen to be infected by the Genestealer cults, with the Atlan Jackals serving as a perfect example of this. They function as the bounty hunters for the hive mind and hunt as packs while psychically linked. They search out new territories and, more importantly, new genetic material. The Jackals have often been found on their dirt cycles, but recent reports have shown them packing upgrades to larger vehicles like the Goliath truck. These massive metal monstrosities leave death and destruction in their wake, allowing the Jackals to pick up and scavenge what they choose. There have also been rumors circulating on the planet. The 3-gun toting Garrison Storm has been seen on the planet. The multi-limbed killer morph, while acting as a hero to the cultists, actually serves a completely different role. His true purpose is to sow dissent, sedition, and foster an uprising against the current controlling element of the planet.
So thank you to everyone for indulging me as I did a little bit of roleplay / had fun with this reveal. For context, I've been playing Warhammer 40,000 since about 1995, on and off again. I've played various armies from Orcs to Eldar to Dark Angels, which I can't find the codex for, to Chaos. In recent years though, Magic has kind of replaced it, although I do pick up the odd book here and there to keep up with the lore and the fluff. As you saw, the deck has 2 main mechanics, Ravenous, which seems super sweet because if you have a lot of mana late game, it means you can have a massive creature, plus if it's 5 or more, draw a card. There's also a heavy emphasis on +1/+1 counters. And I'm happy to say that the new cards aren't the only ones with brand spanking new art. We've got this cool looking abundance with what I think is a Genestealer cult praying to the hive mind. We've also got the very punishing Aether Eyes. We've got an arcane signet that reveals the true nature of they who wear it. We've got Bred for Hunt, which thematically makes a lot of sense, plus the artwork shows a sweet lictor ready to pounce. Cave of Temptation looks pretty sweet, showing the stars and some hieroglyphics of Tyranids. We've also got a Cinder Glade, which looks like it's had better days. Command Tower is some kind of Tyranid spire, which is looking gorgeous. Cultivate, again, is basically showing the conversion that Tyranids do to the planet, and it makes a lot of sense since you're getting lands to help you get there. We've got Death's Presence showing a swarm, which also works with the +1/+1 counter theme. Exotic Orchard is just nightmare fuel, but makes a lot of sense. Explore is also thematically on point, and it shows a bunch of the hive mind and creatures flying down onto an unsuspecting planet. Farseek is more aligned with the Atlan Jackals, who are scouting things out to convert into biomass. We've got my favorite basic art, which is a forest, and a frontier bivouac, which looks like a bunker that's been overrun by sand and the elements. Game Trail also shows a lot of dead Ultramarines, which is kind of funny, and Hardened Scales just makes perfect sense considering the deck, plus the artwork is just sweet. There's Harrow to help with ramp. Herald's Horn makes a lot of sense in a tribal deck, and we see a Clamovis basically shouting out propaganda at its unsuspecting foes. Hull Breach again makes perfect sense, and it works super well in this deck, with a hive ship basically attacking a cruiser and blowing it up. Icon of Ancestry works really well with the idea of a Genestealer cult, and it works well with tribal decks. Inspiring Call, again, Genestealer cult based art, also works super well with +1/+1 counters, and helps you draw cards in the deck, which is a home run in my opinion. The island artwork is also pretty sweet, showing the hive fleet basically sucking up the ocean for biomass. Same thing with the mountain, basically the terrain has been converted into some kind of disgusting Tyranid army swarm carapace. New Horizons is old ramp with sweet new art, and it works well in a deck that has a lot of big creatures. Opal Palace is showing an overrun temple, and speaking of overrun temples, we've got Temple of Abandoned, Temple of Mystery, and Temple of Epiphany, which makes a lot of sense because a lot of planets have temples and cathedrals and things like that dedicated to Space Marines, so it's fun to see the Tyranids taking those over. Overgrowth is a sweet enchantment, and it works thematically. There's also the Tribal All-Star Path of Ancestry, letting you scry with some sweet new art. Rampant growth, again the same thing, we see spores bursting out from the surface, which is just horrifying. Naturally, since this is a commander deck, we have a Rugged Highlands. And if you've been on Twitter at all or any kind of social media, you've probably already seen this Soul Ring. Starstorm shows like an orbital bombardment from the Hive Fleet onto an unsuspecting planet, which is pretty fun. And Thornwood Falls is like a Tyranid taking a shower? And Unclaimed Territory is the last reprint, and it makes perfect sense for a tribal deck. I will say that there was a missed opportunity for I think a reprint of Breeding Pool. Artistically, thematically, whatever you want to call it, Lee, this would have been a perfect reprint for this deck, although I do understand they probably don't want to do that with Unfinity basically having sweet spacework art anyway. That's my deck reveal though, and let me know in the comments below if you're planning on picking this deck up or one of the other three. I'm really looking forward to hopefully streaming and recording some games with the unchanged precons that this set offers, so be sure to watch for that in the future. As always, thanks for watching, and don't forget, friends are just opponents you haven't eliminated yet.